Thanks so much, Michelle. And hello, everyone. Welcome to an exciting time of the year and an exciting conversation today about cooking up a feast with ARIS. So let's talk about, well, our version of Thanksgiving, ARISgiving. And over the course of today's webinar, you're going to get a chance to understand a little bit more how you might be able to win and get ahead of your Thanksgiving game when it comes to cooking up a feast and preparing the right visualizations and data for your stakeholders with ARIS Gallery. So for the Americans in the crowd, it's almost Thanksgiving. For the Canadians in the crowd, we've already done that. And we're getting ready to celebrate together in style. I don't know if you've got coming over, if you've got people coming to your house or you going to somebody's Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful one. But for me, in past years, I've prepared Thanksgiving for folks who I wanted to have over, people who are special to me. Um, but as much as I love Thanksgiving, I'll be honest, there are lots of folks who bring with them a little bit more needs. For instance, in the past many years, I've seen a lot of people have dietary restrictions, things that they really want out of the same meal, but served up a little bit differently for them. Some may have be, for instance, but vegan. Some may have a gluten intolerance. Some may not be able to have milk or have lactose intolerance. And all of these different dietary restrictions can really make preparing your meal a bit of a task. And today we're going to take a look at some of the guests at my fictitious Thanksgiving table, what they might be looking for, and how I might want to address some of their challenges and their needs with a little bit of tailored solutioning, or maybe a little bit even of cheating with accelerating. So let's talk about Mary, Robin, and Edwin, three of the guests coming to my Thanksgiving table this year. Now, each of these guests has their own particular set of needs. So how do I, trying to cook this whole dinner alone, manage to take care of them, do a good job, not break the bank, but also not go crazy trying to cook for days and days on end? It's a hard challenge, but I think we can do it if we're clever. And that's where the gallery comes in, which is what you'll see a little bit later on actually how we get it done. See, Mary, she's on a pretty strict diet. She's SAP only. She wants to know what's happening with the ERP that she uses. So she's here to eat, but she's eating from only one source. She wants to understand the standards and the compliance to standard of her one source of food. And she wants to blueprint the next phase of her ERP implementation and modernization. But for her, modeling is a bit of a chore. So how do I give Mary the right dish that complies with her diet, makes her feel like she was included, but doesn't take me forever just to cook for only Mary? Well, you know what? Let's not just cook for Mary. Let's decide that Mary gets a pre-made dish. Let's buy the problem away. We're going to go and pick something up from the store, something that complies to her diet, gives her what she needs, makes her feel special, but doesn't have to be part of my kitchen. I'll just heat it up on the day, serve it to Mary, and she'll be happy. Next, let's meet Robin. Robin's fantastic. She's part of finance operational excellence. She cares a lot about one domain. She wants to benchmark what they're doing. She's also got her own ideas on how things might improve. And it's not quite standard. She's got her own KPIs, things that's a competitive differentiator for us as an organization. So she doesn't just want to consume what I buy from the store. She wants to do something a little bit different. So let's spice this up for her. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to find something that will generally comply with her requirements. But then I'm going to bring it home and I'm going to add my own special sauce to it. Something that is, from my kitchen, something that I've done a little bit of work on. Maybe I've, melted some butter and added some cream and added some things. It makes it special. It's like a little sauce that I whipped up for myself, but it's going to make this pre-made dish taste a little bit more familiar, something that she really wants. But didn't take me the whole time if I'm having to cook it from scratch. I accelerated my creation process, but then I adapted it to meet her needs. And lastly, let's talk about Edwin. Oh, well, he's a legacy modernization Tarian. Yeah, I know. Listen, people can make choices all they want, and we respect those choices. But he's going to take a little bit more work. He's got a very specific set of things, and it's from all over the place. He's got disparate systems and processes, a lot of homegrown stuff, and he wants to consume all of that. He wants to tie it all together. He has a very specific set of KPIs in his diet. So for him, nothing at the store really works. I'm going to get a list of ingredients from him. I'm going to find out what I can make that he can still eat, and I'm going to go cook it homegrown. Just my cooking for his needs. But as you can imagine, I'm hoping that more of my guests, I'm trying to segment more and more of my guests to be like Mary, where I can provide things to them without having to do a lot of work in the kitchen. Then some of my guests like Robin, where I've been able to accelerate the process and I've given them the dish they needed with a little bit of manipulation, a little bit of configuration on top of it. And as few as possible guests like Edwin, where I have to develop things entirely from scratch. That makes it so that it's possible for me, just me alone, to actually do everything for everybody. It's a hard task, but I would argue that it's worth it. So you can have a center of excellence, a space where everyone can be together so they can celebrate and enjoy and get what they need out of your environment. So don't try cooking everything yourself. That's a recipe for madness. Leverage pre-cooked dishes. Drop in standardized content. Get that meal made in record time with really excellent pre-built information. Bring familiar tastes, things people recognize, standards, industry standards that are used to evaluate certain types of processes or certain tastes. Standard dashboards, KPIs, things people will be familiar with from a visualization perspective. But if that doesn't work, then adapt it to your needs. Add on top your particular standards, your KPIs, reduce the configuration work you need to do by having as much as possible up front, and hybridize that standardized content and your custom content to create something that feels familiar, even more familiar, specific to you, but the base is all already made. And then as a last resort, if you've exhausted all your other options, cook it all up manually yourself. But use things like wizards and recipe lists and videos online to help you get there quickly. Because once again, you're cooking for a whole table. And that's how I do my Thanksgiving dinner. Now, the question is, how are you going to cook up your meal for your process stakeholders? Well, the truth is, it's not as far as you think it is. Because if you're buying food and you're getting a bunch of pre-cooked food, that might be increasing your cost of running the tab up for Thanksgiving. I mean, sure, people are going to bring potluck items, and sure, people are bringing wine, and it's nice, and it maybe gets alternatingly held at different people's houses. But in the world of process and architecture, it's on your house. So everything costs a lot of money. That can be a little bit difficult for budgets. However, what if it was really easy? It can't be that easy, can it? What if it was essentially free? Whoa, wait a second. Nothing in this world is free. Well, that's the cool thing. ARIS has decided to provide food, well, at least your food, and recipes for food at the click of a button. That sounds amazing. That means I can fill out on my table with exactly the dishes I want with just a click of a button. That's right. So your process mining instance you already have. Wait, if I just click on the application launcher, there's a gallery available. And with a click of a button, suddenly all the dishes are made available to me, ready to serve. That's right. This is where process mining gallery comes in. If you really want to accelerate your development of process mining solutions, be able to appeal to your stakeholders, give Mary and Robin and Edwin exactly what they need when they want it, as much as possible, configuring on top of this pre-built solution, we've got you covered. So let's take a look at how it works, and then we'll actually demonstrate this live in action to show you exactly what it takes to drop in a solution ready to go. You see, this is your secret menu. This is how it appears that you are a superhuman. You're the best host in all the land of all the Thanksgivings ever. Your secret menu is ready to serve up hot and fresh to your stakeholders. Simply select an item from the menu and add it to your process mining instance and connect it to your data source. And suddenly, you're already creating process mining insights without having to do any more cooking. It's ready to go. And what is on this menu? Well, this is an ever-expanding list of common use cases and common connections into backend systems that we see a lot of people loving. These are the most requested recipes. This is your casserole, this is your turkey, this is your stuffing, this is your cranberry, this is the things, the traditional, American Thanksgiving dishes. Wherever you're from, whatever you're from, wherever you come from, whatever food you have for Thanksgiving or not, no shade or shame, but these are the most common ones we've been requested. Some developed in-house at Software AG, some developed elsewhere, that are available to just simply drop in. A bunch of these that I'm sure you've thought about before. Hey, how do I get order to cash data out of SAP? How do I get issue to implement data out of Jira? How do I talk about plant maintenance or purchase to pay in Oracle? These are some very common systems and use cases that people ask for over and over again. And if you just have them sort of ready to serve, you can vastly reduce the amount of time you have to actually work creating these things. So it's a promise, right? There's a promise that there's a menu. That secret menu has a lot of really great things on it that you can just bring into your home and serve on your table. But what does this actually entail? What's on the menu? Like what food am I getting when I bring this into my table? So each gallery item contains all sorts of ready to go ingredients and almost nothing that you actually have to configure out of the box. It's really only the data source itself that you're connecting into. So for instance, for accounts payable for SAP, what do you get with this? Firstly, you get a bunch of pre-built dashboards. It looks beautiful right out of the box. And it's got the kinds of dashboards that through market surveys, interviews of clients, working with partners and industry experts and thought leaders, people tend to want to see. And in today's example, you're actually going to see the specific food you're going to get, the specific dashboards that are going to come out. You'll see those and decide for yourself, is this sufficient? Are you, like Mary, satisfied? This is what you needed. Or are you, like Robin, needing a little bit more? I'd like a little bit more, a special sauce that actually configures it to me. Or are you like Edwin? These don't match me. You're going to have to build it anyways. You're also going to get data extractions and transformations. I cannot stress how important and valuable this is. Let me tell you why. Data extraction and transformation essentially means that we have done the work to find out what the table structure is in a bunch of different reference source systems. So in today's example, you're going to see what the table structure is in SAP for order to cash. We know what that is. In fact, if you're a deep SAP expert, you probably already know that. But if you're not, you don't need to be. Because we know what we're looking for when we connect into those source systems. We know what data is in those tables. We know how to pull them out and transform them into something that is very usable to portray information on dashboards. So if you think about it, we know all the rules for somebody who comes and they have specific cooking needs, a specific background. We know all those rules. We have literally a list of them, and we can give you a much faster movement from raw material to visualization. We also come with common KPI calculations. This is an example. It has 44 different calculations. These are things people are looking for. They're like common tropes. This sort of metric is a relevant or useful thing that the industry thinks is good for me. So, it wouldn't be this without that. So, for instance, like, you can't have the you can't be looking to have roti without like chickpeas, and chickpea dust is going to be sprinkling. Like that's where you're from. That's what you grew up eating. Great, we know what that is. And so these common things are things you'll find very familiar. These KPIs are relevant, and you can use them and reuse them even on configured dashboards beyond what we already provide. So you're being given a great set of starting points for analysis. And of course, some example of what the conformance to standards would be. So a rough idea of things, a good starting point. And particularly when you combine this with other parts of like data ingestion or standard process creation through things like an interface with Calm for SAP, or Solution Manager in the older versions of SAP, or some standard processes that might come out of your business rules engines or ERPs that we can sync over with. This conformance mapping gives you a head start on understanding, is this actually what you were supposed to do? And if not, how far off are we? So this is a great way to get you started with a bunch of ingredients you're going to need. And no matter what, you would normally be doing this, except for we just come out of the box with all these things ready to go, tailored in for one particular diet. That gives you a great starting point. Once again, we come with 16 already. It's a great starting place even today. But let's serve this up hot and fresh, because I can keep talking about what it is, but what if I showed you just dropping this in? I happen to love that. And so I'm going to actually give you a sense of what would happen if you were to start a process mining project with the ARIS gallery giving you your head start. Let's start with a blank slate. So I'm going to go over here to my process mining instance. Make sure you can see my screen now. There we are. Yes, I'm starting with my nothing on the screen. Essentially, it's an empty space. Now, what I want to do is I want to try and create a new process mining project in a matter of a few seconds. How do I do that? Well, instead of starting by creating a new project, this button over here, let's create a brand new project. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the store, and I'm going to find the perfect food pre-made dish for my person. In this case, I'm going to try and appeal to Mary. And then Robin and I will have a little conversation about what you might need on top of this. So Mary wants order to cash. So I click over here on the gallery. Okay, Mary, you care about order to cash and you're super into SAP. So let's scroll down to order to cash for SAP. Let's learn more about this gallery, or this item, pre-made item, ready to go. It appears to have a few different dashboards available. Has some highlights on what it is, what it does, things focusing on cycle times, changeless orders, on time in full. I mean, those are things that, if you're familiar with order to cash, you'll know those are pretty important. And some additional information and documentation on it, everything you might need. And then a big button over here that says, get it now. That's right, we're going to check out right now. Okay, let's check out. Wait, what? Okay, just install it. There's no buy it now. There's no like price associated with it. It's literally just install. Okay, well, what am I going to get? So I'm going to get the different analyses and the apps that are coming. I'm going to get a data integration pipeline, which lets me quickly go from thing to thing. Okay. Let's see more. I can learn more about it. I can go back to the help, find all the information about it if I wanted to. But let's see the assets. So I get extraction. So I'm going to pull information from SAP. Transformations, I'm going to make that information usable. A data model, so I'm going to map different parts together. An analysis model, so I'm going to calculate KPIs. And a conformance check for a reference process for this. Okay, this looks good. Let's install this, and let's call this in my order to cash SAP. And now let's just pull some data from, I don't know. Let's pull some data from the early years. I happen to know we have old data in here. I'll create a nice data set. It's going to install it for me, and it's going to install my assets. Whoa. Through a wizard, I'm installing a whole set of assets into here to pull information. That's pretty quick. That is pretty quick. Interesting. So let's let it install for a second, and within a few moments, our whole process mining instance has been changed. Look at that. We're done. Let's take a look at our project and then open our data set. The project currently has no data assigned to it. Okay, what does that mean? Well, what we need to first do is connect this with our SAP system because we've already got everything set up. And then once it has data, it will fill out 5 different analyses as part of this project. It sounds amazing. Okay, let's go to our data set. So our data set over here currently is a bunch of red. If you haven't seen the data ingestion pipeline before, welcome to ARIS process mining data collection. On the left side, we're seeing integration, then the middle, data, the right side, analyses. You're seeing a lot of these are either blue or green, means they're probably ready to go unless anything goes on, and some things in red, like we don't have a connection currently set up to SAP, or we can't do any transformations. Wait a second, why is transformations red? The answer is because we've dropped in not just this like idea, but a whole bunch of actual transformations with code already built, ready to go. Look, it's already looking for specific tables. We know the list of ingredients we're going to need to get to make this thing work. It's already going to be pre-cooked, ready to go. We just need to get the right information in there. Wow. Okay. So let's assign a data source. And to do that, we go to the other red button over here called connections. We see that even now, it has a ready to go connection to SAP, except it's not enabled yet. Okay, now we simply need to go to our SAP connection, give it a license, integrate to our SAP with an SAP extractor, go to that SAP source system, and give it a secure secret that allows us to access it. We're not going to talk too much about how that is generated, but for those who are in the integration space, security space, you'll know what I'm talking about. But once again, we are simply going to an extractor to a source SAP system it's been made available to process mining. Hit done, and it's going to update it and connect into our SAP source system. Okay, so now we've done, I don't know, what, like 5 or 6 clicks to get a full like system integration set up with all of our transformations ready to go, and our data modeling structure is there we are. It's ready to go, and it's going to load in all this data. It's going to go and extract the data from SAP and make it available to me. In fact, I can see this in a run log. So I'm going to do, not much has happened yet. This run log is going to be refreshed as we go through things. So right now we need to extract the data. So we have a connection. We're ready to do an extraction before we transform. So let's extract that data from SAP. Now, you can see I'm doing this manually. I understand. I'm clicking on the buttons. It's doing the thing I said. However, this is really important. There are ways to do this automatically. We're setting this up for the first time, but I could put automation in here to automate my data pipeline. That sounds good to me. Makes it easy for me to have this refresh the data relatively frequently. I always say relatively real time because, well, people like this idea that process mining can be a real-time feedback system. It isn't really designed to do that. Instead, it's designed to be fast enough. What's fast enough for you? Well, it matters on the velocity of your process, so how often it happens, or the frequency of the process, how often it happens, and the throughput time of your process. How long do processes last? If you're extracting data every hour, but your process through like cycle time is in the order of months, I don't think that's necessarily a good use of your system resources. But if it's happening every couple of minutes and you're extracting the data every hour, that's probably relevant. The thing is, once again, decision velocity. How often do you, as a control tower officer, have the ability to affect your process? Well, if you can only affect it every week or every couple of days, extracting it every minute or every hour doesn't make any sense. Let's save system resources and only automate what we absolutely need to. So you can see it's running an extraction and populating things. What's it going to populate? It's going to populate my source table. With all these source tables, you can see it's uploading data in from all these different source tables. And this list is going to refresh and get larger as we load in data. It's going to transform. It's going to fill out these transformations. So right now, some of them you can see now have validity. This activity table has been fully populated now with the loaded data. That sounds great to me. We can see this dish coming into shape. And lastly, those tables that you see in transformation are going to populate my data model. So my activity table with all the different steps that happened, my different dimensions that are going to provide information on it, all this stuff is already pre-built for you. Note that I didn't touch it. This came literally with a click of install solution. So that seems pretty fast and easy. And what do you know? It kind of is. Now, I can leave this thing to run for a little while, and usually it'll take a couple of minutes to extract all this data out. Depends on the speed of your connection. I'm obviously running off a demo system, but it depends on what you're looking at doing. This could take a couple of minutes to run. I'm going to skip ahead just for the purpose of time, because I know people want to see how this actually works. To go to one that is actually done, I've done a full run log. It's extracted the data, and it's filled out the pipeline from beginning to end. Same order to cash, just one that I've pre-baked instead of having to wait 5 minutes. And so now we see the transformations have all turned green. They're all valid. Everything's ready to go. The data model is all set up. All the tables are ready to rock. And we see a couple more things. We also see the analysis model with some of our new fields, different tables, different case columns, different activity columns. We can sort of see, hey, I've got in full delivery calculated automatically. What? I didn't create that. That's right. In full delivery is a calculated column that says, if the flag in full is yes, then this, and if it's not, then no. Great. So I've got a calculated column or percentage of these orders that are touchless. Well, what's the percentage touchless? Well, if it's that, then it's 1, then 0, then percentage touchless. Or all these sorts of things. Like all these are all calculated columns, which I think is fantastic. How do we find a flag of its in full delivery? Well, if the count of goods is equal to 0, then there's no goods release. If the sales order quantity is less than the DN quantity, then we're less. Then if it's more, that's more. Then otherwise it's full. All these are standard KPIs that people generally use, and we are ready to go with these pre-calculated, no work required on my part. We just dropped it in. And now let's look at what this actually does when it creates the visualization for you. So I've created my process mining project in a matter of a few seconds. I have made my connection into the backend system of SAP in a few seconds. I am currently loading in all my records from all that time of calculation. And now let's see what visualizations it comes out with. So this is, once again, I'm going to load up my order to cash SAP. Remember I said there were 5 different analyses. Well, here is my process that comes out of it. So I see my processes over time. How many cases? Throughput time, average throughput time, activities per case, activities started per day. I have little spikes over here, interesting to note things I can tell. Average throughput time, and of course, my process explorer. It helps me understand what the actual process was based off of the system I'm extracting from SAP in the pre-built fashion. People want to know that. They want to know the process. What was it? What was the process? And I can see all the different steps if I add all these outliers. And I can even now remember what one of Mary's requests, something that's strict to her on her diet, is she didn't want to do any process modeling. She doesn't. Yeah, sure. She's on a strict diet, so she's keto. And she also doesn't want a certain type of grain. That's fine, no problem. You don't want to do process modeling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select some number of variants from this. Let's say these top 5 variants. There we are. And I want to do that for her. So I've already set myself up to do that because I'm in a combined environment with ARIS process mining and process modeling. And now I'm going to store the model of this discovered process in my modeling environment, ready to go. All right, so let's store this process for Mary right here. Save it. And let's go to the model. So once again, I just dropped in the solution, I made the connection, and suddenly Mary's got a model built for her. That seems easy, just to her taste. No customization required. I love that. But let's go back over here to other things I can see, like different types of custom analyses that we built on top of this, or you can build on top of this yourself. In fact, you can go over here and say, actually, what do I care about? So one of my calculated columns, now Robbins comes in and says, well, I like what Mary has here, but actually, can you make me a gravy? I really want to have this dish with gravy. I know she's keto, she can't have the gravy, but I want gravy. By the way, I don't know what keto diets actually have to do, long story short. But I want to say, let's actually go over here and add a custom analysis. I want the dimension to be something that is on a particular case, maybe, or on an activity. Let's do an account assignment group. So domestic versus foreign revenues. And I want to know what's the number of cases? Count the number of cases between domestic and foreign revenues. Oh, well, bam. Now I've taken my standards and now they've got a new thing for me, something I can now use to analyze. Wow, that's amazing. Now I can just create, and I can create any number of additional custom analyses with the app builder built off of the standard dish that I've already served up hot and fresh. So instead of having to spend minutes or hours, spending seconds to create exactly what I want, because I've used the gallery as a little bit of a cheat to get me most of the way there, even for somebody who's picky like Robin. Well, what if I wanted a whole different analysis? Well, we were just looking at the Process Explorer itself. What about process cycle times? I want to understand what's slow in my process, what's fast. Oh, cases by process bottleneck. Oh boy, you have a lot of cases that are bottlenecking on the create delivery note for an item. Oh, that's not great. You can see the cycle times of each thing. Oh wow, yikes! If I the longest relations to and from. Oh, I can see this one's connected to a lot of things and it's taking a long time. Whereas this one's oh, this is a long connection duration. Interesting. So I can see all these things put together. And once again, everything ready to serve up. Or once again, people love these things. Touchless orders, on time and full delivery. How many of these are touchless orders? Most touchless. Okay, so 0.7% are touched. Well, where is that touch happening? Let's just only sort for touched. So where is that touch order happening? Let's go and find characteristics about it. In fact, I can say, hey, I want to do root cause mining on why an order might be touched. Show me why that's happening. And I can say, oh, because we had to change the delivery date. So the delivery date was a change was requested. We had to touch that order. I understand. That's a problem. Happened in internet sales CRM. Interesting. So half the cases that came through the internet sales CRM required that. And we had a particular change price on it. Okay, so there's really interesting things I can use to say this is why we're touching it. Still, it's a very low percentage, but we could probably do something to reduce that. There we are. So we stack rank these symptoms, and I didn't have to do any more work. It just came out of what I've already built. Or lastly, of course, what we love, that on time and full delivery. Did we actually deliver on time? Did we do it early, late, on time, in full? What's our full OTIF? It's not great. But you can find out where, we can do benchmarking, we can do, what part is not on time, what part is not in full. Great. We can see what sales groups are great, what sales groups are not doing so well, what our trends are, whether or not we can respond to that, and we can take it from there. So now all this analysis, as well as the custom analysis I showed you, is just available for me with the click of a button and dropped in for my stakeholders. Now, I'll admit, for somebody like Edwin, this isn't going to make a lot of sense because Edwin just wants his own custom legacy systems, which is why we have really strong connectivity and capabilities through the rest of ARIS process mining to build a whole ecosystem. However, for this particular use case, or these pre-built use cases, there's nothing stronger than bringing together information that's standardized with the process mining instance you already have to make something really amazing for your various stakeholders. Custom dishes, well, that weren't so custom to make, things you could take off the shelf and serve up hot and fresh. So ARIS Process Mining Gallery really does create what you need when you need it for those pre-built use cases. And I'll go back to them because there's a lot of them that are coming right here. And just to give you a sense of the future here, this isn't the last piece of the puzzle. There is also more to come, because this might be a starting point for most people, but we have some really fantastic folks who are working every day to make this even better. The truth is that this process mining gallery, we think, is a big part of how a lot of organizations are going to deliver value to their stakeholders. It's how you're going to serve everyone properly at the table. You're going to reduce effort, speed up your time to cook up a proper process mining solution for your various disparate stakeholders, many of whom are using standardized solutions on the technology side that can absolutely use a good help from a standard solution. It's how you're going to pick everyone's favorite dish, deploying the most requested solutions with ease, and add spice to those menu items, appealing to specific needs, specific people along the way. And the truth is, we are going to keep on cooking. Now, you can see we've got accelerators coming. This has been developed out with an initial class of accelerators, but we're extending it to the landscape. We have additional functionality. You're going to have engagement in a marketplace. 2024 offers a huge amount of promise as this capability of accelerators, this secret menu for you and your ARIS friends, will only expand. Liking, rating, commenting, providing feedback to owners, promoting likable and downloaded accelerators. This is a fantastic opportunity to start using what will become how a lot of people deliver value to their stakeholders. And just like that, you've made the perfect meal. Not as much effort, but certainly brimming with taste. I want to pause it here and see if anyone has any questions about what they've seen today and how they might use the ARIS accelerator, or the ARIS gallery of accelerators, to make it possible for them to be successful with their various process mining projects and their various demanding stakeholders.
So, hey, JM, we do have a couple of questions here. I will go ahead and read them off. Let's see, the first one: how are the accelerators developed? Can I request a new one for my specific use case?
That's a great question. So what I would encourage you to do is take a look at all of our accelerators and where they were developed. Some of them are partner developed, and some of them are software AG developed. There's lots of places that the best way you can do is talk to your account executives, talk to your solution engineers, talk to your partners. And as we are looking to develop more out, yes, you can talk to them, and you might get one in a partner developed solution. In fact, if I look at the ARIS gallery, there like a lot of these solutions were actually made by our partners, and we credit them with the development of these solutions. They're fantastic. They're able to give people exactly what they need because the partners know what their customers are going through. And so once again, absolutely talk to your delivery partner, talk to software AG, ask for these things. And if enough people ask for them through things like aha.io, like feature requests, or through partner days, or through customer advisory, or through user groups or excellence clubs, attend those events. They become topics of conversation. And you can even back up your own solutions, and they could someday become an accelerator for somebody else. So absolutely, we are creating an engaged marketplace of our community, and asking people to make things is the greatest way to get that conversation started.
Great. So it sounds like we're ready for the next question. How much configuration is required on the source system side? It looked really easy. but how can we make that work on our SAP?
That's a great question. I actually, let me just quickly open up a presentation in the background here. Here we are. So let me show you. I was worried somebody might ask a little bit because it does look easy. I'll be honest. Like of course, it looks easy. Let me show you a little bit of what the secret sauce behind the scene is. And for those of you who are at Partner Days, you will recognize this thing. So this is the backend administration where you're able to connect to some number of integrators. You're ingesting, and you can configure each system integration with a secret client ID, which you will need to set up between your source system and the ARIS system integration administration screen. That's an important part so that we can know we can securely get access and connect into your source system. That source system will generate for you a secret key. That secret key is what we will use in the extractor in order to pull the right information with the right authentication. So it's kind of how it works. It is not it's not that hard. You have people who are your technical experts on those systems who can provide that access to you, give you access to those particular tables, and give you the client ID and secret that you can use to set up that integration between the two systems. There we are. And data extraction pulls and transforms and models after that setup. So there is a bit of data preparation that goes into the connectivity between the two of them. But as I said, you're just generating a client ID and secret. You are setting up that secret key for your extractor inside ARIS process mining, the data collection, and then you are running that extraction against it. It worked seamlessly for me because, of course, I tested it before the conversation today. But you can troubleshoot that with your system architects who will control the integrations into those systems. And once again, we are looking for standard tables, so we can have a list of things we're going to pull from, and they should be able to give access to those things. So it's not as easy as I showed it because it does have the system integration side of things that I didn't show, but it is not much more than what I showed, which I think is important. And that's kind of cool. Hopefully it makes sense. There's a couple of pieces of the puzzle that go into creating that integration on the source system side, but I'm not an expert in SAP, only on ARIS process mining. And as I said, that's not as hard as you think it is. I've been told repeatedly from SAP experts that, yeah, this was easy. It's okay.
Thanks, JM. One more question. The gallery, does it connect to multiple sources of data? Our end-to-end process is not just in one system.
So that's a little bit somewhere between Edwin and Robin. Edwin is like a bunch of systems, all legacy. Robin is like the system that I like, but with a little bit more spice. So this is where we start to say, this can be the kickoff for a larger process mining project. So this is, we see the idea that the gallery gives you a starting point. You've got a whole bunch of tables. You have everything is sort of ready to go, and your activity table is prepared by this accelerator. For processes that go through multiple systems, what you would do is simply union that activity table with the activity tables that configured so that the columns match activity tables from your other systems if you're looking at an end-to-end perspective. And then that union would become the new activity table in your data model. A lot of words simply to say that, yes, you can incorporate other systems into this. You would simply add those additional sets of information into your data source that you are automatically ingesting or automatically creating with your gallery drop-in. So it doesn't change the amount of work that you would be required to connect to a different system. What you're doing is simply cutting out a whole portion of the process. So for instance, buying like a pre-cooked turkey and then you do some additional spicing on top of it, a little bit more work, and maybe you plate it and add it to a whole bunch of other things, or maybe you cut it up and add it to a salad you've also prepared. Like you are getting a portion of the work done for you. I'd say the point is that there's no reason not to use this if you're connecting at any point in time in your end-to-end through any of our gallery connected accelerators. So if you're connecting to a ServiceNow or a Jira or an Oracle or an SAP for standard use cases, even if there's other parts you have in your system that are in your ecosystem that are not part of what we cover, it's still great to start with the accelerator and then build on top of it, even if you're doing multi-system integrations as well. Hopefully that explains it a little bit.
Great. Thanks, JM. Those are all of the questions, aside from a question about whether there's going to be a recording that will be shared out. And I can confirm that this is being recorded, and we'll go ahead and share the link out with everybody. And that's all that we have for you today. So thank you so much, JM, and thank you everybody for joining us today. We hope that you have a fantastic holiday season and that all of your holiday meals are quick and easy to prepare. I know that after all of this talk about fantastic food, I'm very ready for a good Thanksgiving dinner.
Come by my place. I can guarantee many of those dishes will have been bought at the store, but spiced up with my own special style.
Yes, I do. I do like taking the easy route. Yeah, so that's all we have for everyone. We would appreciate a few more minutes of your time. There's going to be a short survey that will come out. So again, on behalf of myself and JM and Software AG, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us today. Very much appreciated.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.